Peace. What is up, everybody? Nice to see you again. So I am OnenO. Thanks for tuning into the blog. Yesterday's video was on the subject of imagination. And imagination is a very, very, very fascinating thing to me. And I now fully believe that what the Bible is describing in totality is the mechanism of imagination. What the Bible is trying to get you to understand is that imagination is the very thing that manifests what you call the physical world. When you open your eyes and you look around, what is it that precedes this reality? And the old mystics in the Bible termed imagination. Look at this beautiful butterfly. Can you see it? I love when butterflies fly by. So the imagination, the way that the mystics would talk about it, is that it's the mind of God, because when you tap into imagination, you are tapping into the mind of the creative force that manifests the entire universe. And obviously that's mystical. Like, people would combat what I just said, but I believe it as my fundamental truth. And so along this premise that your imagination is the manifesting tool of reality, your imagination is basically neutral, and it can be used for either good or bad. And so in your imagination, if you are having imaginations that are destructive, self-defeating, angry and bitter towards other people, and your imaginations are just constantly swirling around ideas of what you could do to get retribution, or what you could do to get revenge, how you could tear somebody else down because you feel like they have harmed you, all of that is an example of how you can use your imagination and focus it in the negative. Obviously you don't want to do that, but we do that. People out there do this all the time. But that would be to personify that whole side of your brain and your imagination. I can't say brain, it's actually imagination. That is personified as the symbol of the devil when it comes to the mythology of the Bible. And then the mythology of the Bible describes Christ as being the polar opposite in your imaginative space. In your imagination, when you are able to find forgiveness, when you're able to see how you can grow and benefit in any situation, when you're able to find in your imagination how you can prosper and how you can help other people prosper, when you can see yourself fully healed and fully embodying your highest self, that is Christ consciousness, and it can only be found in your imagination. It can't be found in the real world. The real world is a reflection of your imagination. So it can only be found in your imagination. And this is classically symbolized throughout my childhood in cartoons with the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder. Those are the two voices inside your imagination, and they will dominate your imagination. And you cannot serve two masters. That's another Bible verse that I think is very powerful right here. You cannot serve two masters. You can either serve the inner destructive voice, or you serve the inner creative voice or constructive voice. And so the Bible is this book that has been written thousands of years ago to help personify these two polar opposite sides of your imagination, to give you a guide to learn how to go from a negative, destructive inner dialogue into a positive, constructive, and creative inner dialogue. That's the whole point of the Jesus story, is to describe for you a perfect example of the psychology of an enlightened, reasoned mind. I use those words intentionally. Your mind, when it is enlightened, will shine with the radiance of heaven. And when your imagination shines with the radiance of heaven, you will be the conduit that brings that heaven into the earth plane. And you will experience heaven right here when you open your eyes. You see, so many of us, I think, get confused by these religious conversations because they've been turned into dogma, and their real mechanism has been removed because we are attempting to describe something which is symbolic and metaphorical in the literal sense. So when you reference the Bible and you read these parables about Jesus, and then you try to assign cultural, historical accuracy to it, you're actually degrading the inner kernel of knowledge that is deep embedded inside of these stories. So it's best if you can learn how to find what the meaning of the parable is, what the meaning of the story is, and apply it here and now. And without trying to sound too flippant, who cares if it's historical, because it's not about fixing the past. The past has nothing to do with your future. It's about establishing here and your now the freedom to allow your imagination to go free, to be free, and to imagine all the ways that you could experience heaven on earth. And instead of using your imagination for destructive purposes, like destroying your own inner self-worth and destroying the people around you, use your imagination to find positive thoughts that feel good to you. Use your imagination to find a picture of yourself succeeding in your goals, and then hold on to that and use that image and that imagination to build an inner dialogue where your inner dialogue reflects your fulfilled desire as if it's been completed, as if you have already achieved it. And this is where the New Age world starts to kick into this conversation to say that it's about affirmations and it's about living as if you have already received. And there is a lot of truth in that sentiment as well, because the universe is responding to what you believe. And so it matters what you believe. Even listen to that sentence. It matters what you believe. What you believe will become matter at some point in your journey. And so right now, more than ever, when I open my eyes and I look at this manifested world around me, the pieces that I want to change about it are becoming more tolerant with one another. And I don't mean in the politically correct sense. I mean in the loving, non-judgmental, compassionate sense. And then also beyond that, I desire to see everybody fulfilled. I don't think that we need things like poverty and oppression. I believe that we can find a way of living with one another. But now if I use only my eyes, my physical eyes, to find the evidence for what I just said, I will be horribly disappointed. It says over and over and over in the Bible to leave the world of the five senses, to go into the imaginative space, aka the mind of God, and find the picture inside your imagination that represents perfectly what I just said, because it's only in your imagination you're going to find that type of coherence. And then allow your imagination to flourish, and then pull that into your inner dialogue as affirmations, and then eventually when you go to speak, you will speak from that place and your tongue will manifest that reality. Man, that was fun. I'm going to cut the video off here. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the subject. What do you think about imagination and Jesus and the devil and all of that? But I invite you to lighten up, take life a little less seriously, find joy within your heart, and pull that into the world. All right? Until I see you again along the journey, oneness in sound, I am OnenO. Mwah. Peace out, y'all.